What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Block is Hot. Today is Saturday, which means we're going over this week's CNFT market updates. And I just want to remind everyone here, because sometimes people in the comments are like, why didn't you cover this certain project? This is a weekly update, guys. This is just stuff that is happening on a week-to-week basis. I could definitely go and cover some of these projects a lot more in depth if people want me to, but what I say on these videos is just what's happening currently, so people can stay updated in the market. And as always, guys, this is not financial advice. This is just my personal opinion of what I think is going to happen with some of these different projects and what I personally have my eyes on. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, how is the overall CNFT market looking like, guys? And of course, like pretty much everything out there, it has been going down, and volume is down about 30% this past week. A lot of days it's been under this 1.5 million ADA number, which we really haven't seen for a while. It's still holding above 1 million ADA for the most part, which is a good sign, but on the 12th, we were barely above that, and on the 13th, we were actually below that 1 million ADA volume, and we're kind of seeing a downtrend as far as the volume going into NFTs. And that makes sense, guys. The whole entire market has been going down. It doesn't matter if it's stocks, if it's crypto, if it's NFTs. Literally, you can point a finger at pretty much every asset out there, and it has been going down, besides maybe like food and gas and real estate, which of course, guys, the three things that you need to survive are going up, which sucks a lot. Now, I'm not scared about this in the aspect that, of course, guys, we're going to have pullbacks, we're going to have corrections. I mean, how in the world would the US be in a 13 to 14 year bull run, which is the longest bull run in history, without having some sort of pullback, especially since so many stocks and so many cryptos, which in my opinion, not really, were overvalued. So of course we're gonna have these pullbacks, these profit takings, and of course people are going to freak out and sell when these things happen. And that's why I say so much on this channel, guys, that you have to have money on the sidelines to be ready to dollar cost average into these different projects, into these different coins, into these different NFTs, into these different stocks. The people that really make a ton of money are the people that have a lot of cash or a lot of liquid when things go down a lot, because to make a lot of money, guys, if you haven't learned from this channel, in my opinion, you have to do the opposite of what other people are doing. So being greedy when people are fearful, and fearful when people are greedy, buying when people are selling, and selling when people are buying. And if you can kind of flip that mindset, which is hard to do because it's this whole psychology thing, you're going to end up being a lot more successful in the long run. And what's crazy to me is when I look at the overall crypto market at only a 1.3 trillion market cap, I'm like, these are absolute steals. I mean, looking at ADA at 50 cents and Ethereum at 2,000, Bitcoin is under 30,000. That literally hasn't happened in over a year, guys. So many steals in the market. We have Solana, we have Polkadot. I mean, it's just insane. This is really the time where I would be dollar cost averaging into stuff, and the same thing goes with NFTs. We're going to have some corrections with NFTs if volume continues to go down and sell-offs continue to happen. Because think about it, guys, if all these people are selling crypto and that's why crypto is going down, what are people going to be doing with their NFTs? They're going to be selling their NFTs, getting that ADA, and then selling that ADA if they're really worried and if they're really freaking out. And that's why I personally think that in the short term, if we continue to go down a lot, that a lot of these CNFTs are going to lose value as well. Now, the big thing that I do want to say with a lot of these NFT projects, guys, is I do believe that in the short term, if the market continues to experience a massive sell-off, that a lot of these NFTs can lose some of their value, maybe to 10 to 15% of what their current ADA value is. But one thing that you guys have to realize is that these NFTs are based on ADA. So when ADA goes down, you're still losing money in a sense, even if that NFT retains its value. So even if Claypez continues to be 168 ADA, well, if ADA goes from $1 to 50 cents, you're still losing 50%. But the nice thing is that these NFTs, for the most part, in my opinion, are going to primarily hold their actual ADA value, just not their USD dollar value. But I do think that we could experience, if we continue to go down a lot in this market, probably a 10 to 15% hit on some of these projects. And I think very similar to Bitcoin, we're going to see a lot of money go from some of these smaller, higher risk projects, go into some of these blue chips. Because the truth of the matter is, guys, is I have no idea if Claypez is going to be around in a year, 2 years, 3 years, if the market goes into a total collapse, if this just continues and we continue to have a massive sell-off. But I do know that these chilled Kongs are going to be around around or should be around. I do know that Spacebudz are going to be around or should be around. So getting into some of these bigger blue chip CNFTs, you're probably going to hold that ADA value a lot better than some of these more risky speculative things that people don't have as much belief in or have as much faith in. I also wanted to bring this up here. These are kind of 3 different drawings of when I think CNFTs or NFTs in general are the best to get in. The first scenario is when we're kind of in this wiggle waggle of this sideways market, which we have found ourselves in for the longest time, between 30K and about 44, 45K. And CNFTs are great at this level, and I've brought this up at a few different times, but people really like being into CNFTs or NFTs at this level because they think they can make more money getting into CNFTs, getting into these different flips, making money from the upwards and downwards of these different CNFTs and NFTs, rather than just holding Bitcoin that could go between 30K and 40K for the longest time. And you're really not making any money or losing any money when you're holding, but potentially with a flip, you can make some additional money while you're in this in-between phase. The second time NFTs are good are when we're crazy bullish, not when we're just bullish, but when we're crazy bullish, guys. Usually when we get bullish and prices of crypto go up a lot, people don't want to risk holding NFTs. They want to be in the actual crypto themselves and make money from the actual crypto gains. But then eventually what happens is we get super, super greedy, and then people are like, hey, I can make 100x off of NFTs, and I can only make like a 2x off of Bitcoin. So I'd rather, get super risky here, get super greedy here, and get into NFTs. Now, the worst time to actually be in NFTs, though, is when we get super fearful and we have massive sell-offs. And this is the situation that I'm a little bit worried about, guys. If we continue to have a massive, massive sell-off in crypto and in the stock market and just the overall market, people are going to get very, very fearful, and they're going to start taking money out of NFTs, out of CNFTs, and they're going to put that money into either cash, or they're going to put that money into stable coins, or they're just going to be putting that money into super safe stuff such as Bitcoin. And the people that do stay around with these NFTs and believe in the overall product of CNFTs, which is what I believe in, maybe they transition out of some of their smaller CNFTs and they get into some of these bigger blue chip ones. Because like I said, guys, if we go into a total market crash and all of a sudden NFTs are down 70 to 80%, which NFTs are you going to be like the most comfortable being in? Are you going to be the most comfortable in something that, has only been around for a month or 2 months? Or are you going to be the most comfortable in something that has been around for a year now and has constantly proved to do a lot of stuff in the space, such as Clay Nation, such as Dead Pixels, such as, chilled Kongs, or whatever you want to look at? Overall, I'm still holding a lot of my CNFTs. I do think that we've just been on this massive sell-off in the whole crypto market for the past month, 2 months now, especially in the past week or two. And I do think we're getting to that oversold level. I'm personally holding a bunch of my stuff. I might start selling some of those smaller CNFTs and moving that money into some blue chips. But for the most part right now, guys, I'm kind of on the sidelines. I need to see what happens in this market. I need to see if we get even more bearish and we continue to break down, or if we have a reversal here, because I don't want to sell a bunch of stuff and then all of a sudden we have this massive reversal. During this time, though, I am going to be dollar cost averaging into these different projects with the money that I have on the sidelines. And I'm going to flip the occasional thing that seems super bullish, but for the most part, I'm just going to be on the sidelines. There's just so much uncertainty in this market. And even though I believe in CNFT super, super heavy, I believe in that product super, super heavy, especially over time, I have no idea how to predict the short term. So you really don't want to put yourself in a hole and then all of a sudden you're super over leveraged into something and that something goes down 70, 80% and you didn't have any money on the sidelines to really play with and dollar cost average into those times of like depression in a sense. So yeah, just make sure at this point in time, you're not over leveraged into any one thing, but you're also not panicking and just selling a bunch of stuff because you're seeing a bunch of other people sell stuff. Usually when a lot of people are selling stuff, that's when you want to buy stuff, and that's why I recommend always have money on the sidelines. But yeah, let's get into the top 10. Now for the top 10 biggest movers this week, we have number 1, Claypez, which is a relatively new drop. They've been out for less than 2 weeks now. At number 2, we have Chilled Kongs, Steel Society at 3. Then we have Boss Cat Rocket Club, Safari Squad, Spacebudz, Boss Planet VOX Cats at number 7, Mad Dog Car Club at 8, Pitches at Clay Nation at 9, and then Clay Nation by Claymates at number 10. Number 1 on our list was Claypez, and and these have been going absolutely crazy, guys. I can't remember what the mint price was, but I believe it was something around 60 ADA, and they're going for about 170 ADA now. Unfortunately, I did miss out on this mint. I don't know if I was still in California or if I just wasn't paying attention, but these have been doing exceptionally well. They look absolutely phenomenal, and they are a good match between Clay Nation as well as 8 projects. I do believe they stand out. My only worry with this project in the beginning was that I know the 2 founders of this project are really young, and they might not have a ton of experience or knowledge in this space, but it does look like they've been doing a lot of stuff in the Discord, and it does look like they've been building a community of people that can help out the project and give them a little bit more information and really grow this thing. They didn't really have a huge roadmap or a lot of utility that they were really providing or that they were really talking about, but they said sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks, they are going to be coming out with their updated roadmap. That could be a catalyst news event, guys, where these have a run up leading up to that roadmap, simply because people might be really excited about what's in it. So it could be a good time buying right now and then potentially selling before that roadmap comes out, or just buying some of these for the long-term hold. I do think the art really stands out with these, and I do think a lot of people really like them, so it's definitely a project to have on your radar. Number 2 here is Chilled Kongs. Chilled Kongs still haven't come out with their trippy Kongs or what those are going to look like, or really the timeline for when these different things are going to happen, but right now they're going for about 2,400. They had a slight pullback, I believe all the way down to 2,000 ADA, and that would have been a good time to buy. I really like looking at big psychological numbers, because a lot of times people in their heads are like, oh, you know, if it gets to 2,000, I'll buy at 2,000, and then you usually will have a nice bump up. Sometimes it actually goes below that if it's super bearish, but that wasn't the case for Chilled Kongs, especially since there's so much hype. As far as buying right now, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably wait to see if it goes down to 2,000 ADA and then maybe scoop some up there for the long term, or hopefully to capitalize on that whole trippy Kong thing. Next project here is the Seal Society. As expected, they did have a pullback from that 400 ADA level. It's just too crazy when a new project comes out and there's a bunch of FOMO and a bunch of hype. You really don't want to be buying at that 400 ADA level, guys, and that's why I don't try to buy in P1. You really want to wait and see what happens. If you missed out on the mint, you really want to wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you want to see if the hype is still there, because who knows if the hype is still going to be there in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I do have to say though, I checked out their Discord and I do like what I see. I haven't bought any of these Seal Society yet, but it does look like they have potential, and I do like the different interviews that they've done in the space, and I think that this could potentially be a sleeper. But like I said, guys, I haven't really bought any, and I'm curious to see what these do in another week or another 2 weeks. If these go down to 100 ADA, for example, and another week and a half, 2 weeks, then maybe I'll buy some. But like I said at the beginning of the video, if we get super bearish, then I am going to want more of my money into blue chips and not new projects, because I have no idea if Seal Society is going to be around in a month, 2 months, a year. But like I said, I do have more confidence in projects that have already proven that they are here to stay, regardless of what the market looks like. Number 3, Boss Cat Rocket Club. Boss Cat Rocket Club is still in this weird in-between range. They have been having a big sell-off compared to what they used to be at. They didn't get all the way down to 1,000, but they got pretty close. If these do go down to that 1,000 level, I do think that's going to be a pretty good scoop. Next project here is Safari Squad. These, I believe, were all the way at like 140 or 150 ADA, and now they've pulled back all the way down to 90 ADA, and you didn't really see a ton of support at that 100 ADA level, which isn't usually a great sign. And this, once again, guys, is the reason why I really think that if you want to invest in a project long term, or you like what you see, you have to wait a couple weeks to see where that price really settles. Getting in at that P1 doesn't make sense. You want to see where prices settle, you want to see where things bottom, and then you'll have more confidence about investing in something long term. If you do like this project, I'd wait another week, I'd wait another 2 weeks, and I'd see where it's at. But once again, guys, I want to wait and see what happens in the market and put more money into blue chips rather than these new projects. VOX Cats, it looks like they've been holding around that 300 level pretty well. These are going to have a lot of utility in the space, and I think because there was just such a massive sell-off in the CNFT as far as Boss Cat stuff goes, that these could be a decent pickup. I still haven't bought any yet, but I know that whenever people get airdropped a lot of stuff for free, a lot of times they'll just go on the market and sell it and take their profit. So this could be a major opportunity. opportunity. Like I said though, just keeping an eye on it. 300 might be a good price to buy because it has been holding that price pretty well. Next project here, Spacebudz. Nothing really new is happening with Spacebudz, but I do think that Spacebudz could go up a decent amount compared to the rest of the market if a lot of people are worried and putting money into blue chips, because I do think Spacebudz are the Bitcoin of the CNFT space, and if people want to hold CNFTs, this is probably going to be your safest option out there. Mad Dog Car Club has been chilling at this 200 ADA level. This seems to be a good support zone, and it might not be a bad idea to pick some of these up for the long term if you believe in the project. They are going to have a couple of different car collection releases, and I'm sure these are going to rise as a result if those are whitelist, which I do believe they are going to be whitelist. I don't know why projects wouldn't whitelist. Like, literally when projects don't whitelist, I'm very confused. But regardless, these could have a nice pull, kick off if those car collections come out and if they do look good. And if you have noticed, guys, like the Boss Cat rockets did pretty well, and then when you look at the snowmobiles, they're doing pretty well. So a lot of people really like these car collections because they have to get 3 different parts, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to get your parts, and you're willing to spend more ADA than you need to because you're missing 1 out of the 3 parts. And it's honestly like a genius thing for projects to drop, and I actually really like that sort of stuff. And I know that if you have some of these Mad Dog car clubs, like if you have a certain amount, you're actually going to get 25% of the royalties from all those different car collections. So it could be something to look into as far as a passive income. Next thing here, pitches by Clay Nation. I believe this was number 9 on the list. They're still holding around that 400 ADA level. These Clay Nation bake pitches are going for around 418. This is probably not a bad place to pick some of these up for a long-term hold. They did delay their Clay token airdrop to June, I believe, so these could have a run up before that airdrop. But like I said, guys, there is just so much uncertainty in the overall market right now that I have no idea what's really going to happen. Clay Nation has had a pullback to this 2500 ADA level. This is probably not a bad buy as far as a long-term investment. I'm still having my money on the sidelines, like I've said 100 times now, but this is getting to a pretty juicy level. We could see these pull back down a little more to like 22 to 2400, but I think this 2500 ADA level is a pretty safe play in the long term. Next project here that I wanted to bring up, guys, is ADA Invadaz. Now, ADA Invadaz is releasing their white paper on the 20th, and they're going to go into detail about all the different utilities that are in their project. That could be a catalyst event that continues to see these go up, and if there is a lot of juicy details on that white paper, then you could see these potentially go up even more after that. I personally like this project a lot, and I'm just holding them for the long term, and I was actually one of the lucky 100 people that got airdropped 175 ADA for holding these ADA Invadaz. So it's really cool to see that they've been giving ADA back to people that have been holding it, especially since they've been making a killing off the royalties recently because so many people have been buying and selling that project. Next thing I want to bring up here are these overexposed. They're going to have their black paper on the 20th or as well. Maybe I wrote down 20th both times by accident. It might not be the 20th. It probably is the 20th though, and that could be another catalyst event. I'm curious to see what these guys really do as far as utility goes. I know this is more of an art-centered project, but I do like all the different things they're doing, and I wouldn't be surprised if they said some pretty crazy stuff in that black paper. I'm still holding the one I have, and potentially I'll buy some more, just depending on what I see, and maybe I'll wait until after the black paper, see if they go down a little bit, maybe scoop some up and get a better idea of what these guys are really going to be doing in the space. Next thing here, Cardano Crocs Club. The reason I wanted to bring up these Crocs is that they actually have their breeding out now. I know this happened a week ago. I've been meaning to cover that, but you're actually able to breed these different Crocs together and get these baby Crocs in their little game thing. I'm going to have a video that covers that a little bit more, hopefully sometime this week, but that's something pretty interesting. I'm surprised that these Crocs are under this 200 ADA level right now because they've usually been holding that pretty well, but these Crocs kind of fall in that in-between zone right now where a lot of people, if they're selling some of their smaller projects, this might be one of those smaller projects that they sell and they move into some of the other stuff, some more of the bigger projects. Next thing I want to bring up here is Spacebudz Alpha. Adam has been doing a really great job managing this group, and these Spacebudz have been doing very, very well. I should have bought some more when he had brought this up to me and shared some of his ideas with me, because some of his ideas were actually very similar to what I'm planning planning with my own project. So I was like, oh yeah, I like that concept. I think that idea is good, and that's what I was telling him. You do have to own a decent amount of these Spacebudz to actually get some of their distributions from their whole profit distribution fund that they're going to do. But you need to own like 25 of them to meet the minimum requirement of that distribution. So it ends up being a good 5,000 ADA if you do want to take part of that. I'm once again keeping my eyes on this project. They are going to have their airdrop where it's a 50% chance you get one of these pugs when that airdrop happens. So the total supply is going to go from like this 5,000 number, and then they're going to basically airdrop another 2,500 of these to different pug holders. There's a 50-50 chance of that. These could have a run up right before that airdrop, and then if you wanted to sell on Catalyst News, you would sell then, or you can hold this project for the long term, hope you get one of those pugs, and then maybe that'll give you one step closer to that 25 number. And then if you were looking to buy, that would probably be a good time to buy because people are going to get these airdrop to them, and there's a chance that they could be selling them for the low on the secondary market. Next project here, ADA Ninjaz Aramar. They actually announced that they're doing their third season of these different ADA Ninjas called the Daisuki, and I believe there's going to be, I have to look at the number again, but I believe there's going to be the same amount of these ADA Ninjas, which they did for their Tusco, which was their season 2, as well as their Aramar. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, for this season 3. Now the ADA cost is going to be 60 ADA, which is a decent amount of ADA. They are going to have discounts for people that are holding some of these previous ninjas, so that might be something to look into. There are, however, guys, just so many ninjas out there. I mean, they have over 17,000 out there already between this drop and their other drop, and both of those drops are going below that 60 ADA mint level, so something to pay attention to. And I'm actually going to be doing an interview with their owner to get more information about this, so stay tuned to this channel if you wanted more information about that drop. Next thing here are these Mocossi ITOs. These have actually dropped a decent amount after they did their Mocossi land, their kind of Mocossi planet thing. I really do like this project, and I'm going to be keeping an eye to see how low it goes. This always happens, guys, after a major release, after some sort of Catalyst News, and this is a prime example of being able to make more money off the swing trade, off the run up, rather than capitalizing on that land. Because for example, guys, these went all the way from like 350 to 500, which would have profited you 150 ADA. And then if we look at the land, it's going for 168, but you had to spend 100 ADA. So you'd only be making 68 ADA if you got a floor piece of land when compared to making 150 ADA simply off of that swing trade. And now you would have been able to take that money and you would be able to buy these Mocossis now that they're at 370, or if they go back down to 350 or whatever the level is. So one project to pay attention to, guys. I do like them, and I do like the way this land looks. All of this land has different environments. So you have sand, you have electricity, you have, aqua, you have all these different places, and you're going to have different Mocossis, I believe, in each of these places. And there's going to be different ways to make passive income and really play their game with this land. So if these do go down to that 150-ish level, maybe you buy some up for the long term because they are going to have a decent amount of utility. As far as purchases this week, guys, I really haven't been buying anything. The key term for this week has been sidelines for me. I have been on the sidelines. I've been watching the market. I'm trying to see what happens. I really got screwed over by the whole Terra Luna thing, and I really didn't realize just the level of depegging from the dollar they could have had. I mean, this was such a shock to me because when I was looking at their technology, it made sense. And then on top of that, they had so much Bitcoin in reserves that I was really like, how the heck could this happen? And especially since I'm so bullish on NFTs and on crypto in general, that I really didn't see a massive sell-off like this happening as rapid as we did. And the main lesson that I feel like every single person needs to know, as well as projects, is to stop over leveraging. All these guys, including myself at one point, have over leveraged, have gotten into derivatives, have taken out all these different loans. And that's one of the reasons you've seen Phantom, which is a blockchain, take us such a big hit. So really though, guys, it's like, being over leveraged is the worst thing you can do in this space. And I think this space definitely needs a lot of maturity if we're going to have long-term growth. This space needs more people that understand the technology, more people that understand what they're investing in, and less people that are in this just to gamble or just to make a quick profit, but they have no idea what they're really investing in. Because then you start getting into derivatives and you start getting really, really greedy and you start making all these gambles, and then you end up losing a decent amount of money in the process. And until people can have more confidence, until the public has more confidence and knowledge in what they're investing in, it's just going to continually get manipulated like it has been. We're going to see these hedge funds take advantage. We're going to see these major corporations and these major market movers just take advantage when people literally don't know what they're doing and they're just over leveraged and they're being super greedy and they're trying to change their lives tomorrow. But yeah, I'm a sidelines guy right now. This is the time where you're kind of on the sidelines, you're kind of paying attention, you kind of see what's going to happen, what's going to drop. Are NFTs going to take a crap? Is the crypto market going to continue to go down? Are we going to have this massive push back up? Like, there's a lot of questions right now. All we can really do as investors is adapt with it and, prepare and not be over leveraged in one area and have money on the side. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video though, guys. Keep staying strong. I know we're all kind of in the trenches together, waiting and seeing what happens. And I know a lot of people have been losing a lot of money in crypto lately. But guys, this is the time you pay attention. Like, this is the time where you can really, turn not a lot of money into a lot of money. It's the time where, like ADA was at like 3 cents, for example, and then ran all the way up to $3. Like, we could be finding ourselves in a situation like that. So you just have to not only mentally prepare for that, but you have to prepare your assets and your cash and your liquidity for that too, because that's when you're really going to be able to get some amazing long-term buys, especially if you are a believer of crypto and NFTs like I am, and you think that this is going to be a product or something that more people believe in, or that just grows as time goes on in the long term. But yeah, hope everyone here has an awesome day and keep your head up.